All right, let's bring some company into the conversation. My man, Will Blackmon, former NFL defensive back, Super Bowl champion, and for me, more fascinating, more interesting is he is the wine MVP. He is the wine connoisseur, the wine concierge, expert to the stars. He's made one of the most fascinating post-career transitions of any player that I know, which we'll get to that in a second. How you doing, Will?
Man, I'm good, man. Just plugging away, just grinding. It's, as you mentioned, with the whole wine company, the wine MVP. Just doing that, man, and just enjoying. I'm just enjoying football too, first and foremost. I'm enjoying that, but the wine business is fun right now. It's a grind, especially starting a new company. But yeah, lots of things have been happening in that space, so I'm just excited about it.
What you excited about in the NFL so far for 2 games?
Man, I'm excited for. Ooh, look at that guy.
No, that's the most pimping picture I've ever seen. Easily, the most pimping. Michael, look at that picture.
Listen, although people gave me grief about my cigar not being lit all the way, I'm like, bro, I took so many pictures that it went out. But no, the main thing I'm excited about, I'm excited for Russell Wilson, man. Like, it's his year, it's his time. I have them projected for him to get his second Super Bowl. I would not be surprised if he got his first MVP. But yeah, I really love watching that because he's probably the one QB in the whole entire NFL I trust the most. So that's who I'm excited for.
You know, it's interesting, Will. Mike Smith, on this very program, we were talking about quarterbacks. He said, hey, Aaron Rodgers has done it the best just in terms of throwing the football and just making this at its peak. Am I representing you right, Mike? At the peak of the position, Aaron Rodgers does it the best. You were teammates with him. Do you buy that?
100%. I agree with that until Mahomes showed up. But for the whole time, I mean, he's the one person who can put the football anywhere on the planet. It doesn't matter if he's comfortable in the pocket, if he's scrambling outside the pocket. It doesn't matter where it is. He's the ultimate conductor in that space. So that is not way off. I can agree with that. But right now, I think it's always between him and Mahomes in terms of who can do the most with their arm.
So that's what it is. It's the arm talent, slight edge you give to Mahomes. I was going to ask you, how do you distinguish between these two? Because they're very similar in a lot of respects.
No, they're very similar. Because it's funny because Aaron Rodgers, he's older now, so people forget like all these crazy wild throws that Mahomes is doing is exactly what Aaron Rodgers did younger in his career. Is to make these just crazy, wild, insane. I mean, his first touchdown in 2008 versus the Vikings on Monday Night Football, he was falling backwards and threw it on the side. And it's very similar to what Mahomes did this past weekend. Same thing, rolling out to your right and then threw it across body. So as much as we love the young gun with Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers is still doing that stuff.
You know, Will, I was proud of myself the other day. I think it was yesterday. I was talking to Mike, and we were talking about black quarterbacks in the league. I want to ask you about that. But we were going back, and I said, hey, you know, it really moved me in 1987, and I just easily, seamlessly incorporated Washington football team. We're talking about Doug Williams, not the old name. Now, I know you played in Washington. How do you feel about this change, and how did you feel when you were playing for that team and that was the name of the team that you played for? What was that like?
Yeah, you know, it was interesting. I mean, I grew up that's what it was. You know, it's almost like when we talk about other, you know, touchy subjects where people don't know any different. So growing up, the Washington Redskins, that was a team. My mother's side of the family, they're heavily influenced in Native American background, Narragansett Indian to be exact. And her side has a reservation and everything in Rhode Island, but I never really thought about the history and details for the fact that the name has been around for so long. So I just didn't think it was a big deal. But just being there, playing for the team, it was very, very different because it was more about the organization than it was football. And it looks like now in this case, they're trying to really take care of the infrastructure and make sure that it's about football. Because if you want to make change in anything that's going on, it's a systematic situation. It doesn't matter what it is. nothing's going to get done. And it has to be the people in power who want to get things done. So I can definitely see a huge shift in what's going on with the Washington football team. I mean, Ron Rivera came in, and part of his process, he's like, well, there's certain people in this building that I don't want here if you want me to be on this team too, or coach this team. So I'm very pleased to like where they're going, where they're headed from a fan's perspective.
And you got Dwayne Haskins as a starter. He opposed Kyler Murray, another guy that's setting the league on fire, by the way, through 2 weeks. Opposed Kyler Murray last week. So that was one of 4 matchups, all-time record, among African-American starting quarterbacks. And then you talk about, I think the total is 10 black quarterbacks starting in the NFL right now. Like, what is that number? What is the changing face of the position? And by the way, well, as you know, not just starting, not just holding down jobs, but when you look at Lamar and Deshaun and Patrick in particular, and even Russ, and he's been doing it longer, obviously, but all revolutionizing the position in the way that it's played.
Yeah, I mean, that position has definitely became more athletic because as evolution shows, the game has always changed from different perspectives. Now, the one constant will always remain is that you have to be able to sit in the pocket and throw the football. And these are these things that these athletic quarterbacks are able to do. Russell, his running is so underrated, and that's something he can do very, very well. But he also can sit there and throw for 400 yards or 305 TDs like he did the other night. Same thing with Mahomes, Deshaun Watson. So all these QBs can throw for 300, 400 yards, which makes them an even more serious threat. Because before that, you had a guy quarterback will run for over 100 yards, maybe throw for 2 something, but these QBs now can throw for 300 plus. So that's what makes them super dangerous.
Will, man, I need your help. I like to drink a little wine every now and then. I just do.
I knew you were going to ask a question. I knew it was coming, bro.
I'm going there. And as a matter of fact, I need some help tonight.
He charges for this. Hey, man, he charged for this now. You don't get this out for free. You got a business to run.
I can't. You got me on the show. I can't charge. You're helping me out.
He going to help me out a little bit. But no, seriously, just how did you get into the wine MVP? Just tell us the story of how that happened. It's a great name. I love the pictures. Just tell us that story.
Yeah, so I initially, started enjoying wine just on my own, just consuming it. And then it wasn't until I got drafted to the Packers when I found out that Charles Woodson, who actually was signed the same year, that he was actually in the wine business. And he would always take our group, the defensive backs, out to dinner, on away games. But I really got to understand, like, okay, he's someone like me, African-American guy, NFL player who's in the wine business. And I thought that was interesting. So I try to educate myself and try to learn more. And that's something that's very, very hard to do on your own. And so that's when, I started taking all of these certification courses. I took the Wine and Spirits Education Trust. I just finished my level 3 in that, and my exam's coming up soon. Wow. I passed my quartermaster's intro level 1 sommelier exam. And then I was like, man, I initially wanted to have my own wine label, but I feel like everyone was doing that. And I was like, everyone I asked, they said, you need to be able to sell the wine first and foremost. I don't care what you do. So I'm like, okay, I started doing more research. And then I also had a lot of guys reach out to me like, hey, man, what should I get? What should I buy? And that's where it kind of light bulb went off. Maybe I should start doing some kind of concierge thing and really educate these people on these different wine brands. So that's when I originally came up with NFL Wine Guy, but I think because of the acronym NFL, I'm sure I was going to get a letter. So me and my buddy Patrick, he's my creative director, we decided to come up with the Wine MVP, which I thought was great, man, because it crosses over to every single sport. Basically, anyone could be the wine MVP, the MVP of wine with the right education, and that's basically how I got into it. So it's been cool, man. I've been, just to start off, right when COVID hit, everybody wanted their cellars filled up. So Matt Ryan was one of the first people who I helped out, curate his cellar. I did Reggie Bush. I did his entire cellar. Justin Tuck. Right now, Josh Allen, he just finished building. He actually lives close by me in Cali, and he just texted me his brand new cellar. So when he comes back out here, I'm gonna go there and help him out. So it's Justin Tuck. He's another one. So it's been cool, just to be in that space. And now I'm on Zooms every morning with regions in France and Italy. I had to finally get a WhatsApp because, I got to be able to talk to these people daily without getting blasted with a phone charge. So it's been cool, man. And the next step is to curate a trip, once it's safe to do so, to one of these regions. And I spoke to a lot of guys in the sports industry that are totally down for it. So it's been really cool getting support.
It's been cool to watch, man. I mean, you and I feel like I've known you forever, but we just really started talking within the last several months or whatever. And just, wine has become very trendy, in sports. But like, this is something, I mean, just not to gloss over this. You were one of wine enthusiasts 40 under 40. That's where that pimping picture comes from. You are about to be a level 3 sommelier. Like, you have devoted your life to this. And so it's just impressive, the business you've built, the reputation you built. By the way, shoot me one of those masks, dog. Like, I got the wine, but I ain't get the mask with it. But anyway.
Oh, I got to get you a mask. Yeah,
give me a mask. But honestly,
for
just even
today, are we asking?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But broader, though, what I want to ask you about, Will, is you see so many players, because it's a fascinating life experience professional athletes have, is you spend your whole life devoting it to a craft and a career that, if you're lucky, you get to play until you're 30. A lot of guys struggle with transitions, but not only have you flourished post-playing career, but you found a passion and something to really pour yourself into. What's that part of this been like for you? Just this being your calling as opposed to just a hobby to keep you occupied.
Yeah, I always say that there's 2 transitions for any pro athlete that's very difficult. The first transition is your transition into the sport, because in my case, I'm in college. I don't have any bills. I'm not paying anything, like free meals, room and board, all that stuff. As soon as you get drafted, your responsibility is to play football. But once you leave the building, you have to buy a house. You got to buy a car. You have bills. You have all these things that you have to pay for, and you have to be a responsible adult. And that's a difficult part. You have to grow up right now. The second most challenging part, too, is once you leave the game, it's like taking the hamster off the wheel. You're so used to doing everything the same all the time. Like, I've been playing football from ages 6 to 34 years old. And for me to leave that, it's like, now what? Sure, I can go coach, I guess I'm considered expert. I can go coach. I can go work in the front office. I can do these things, even work on TV. But like, the biggest thing is like, what's going to move me? Because I can easily do these things and end up kind of getting over it. You know what I'm saying? Because football is the only thing I ever wanted to do, period. People can say, yeah, I majored in English. But in reality, I majored in football when I was at Boston College, because that's what I was trying to do, and ended up achieving that. And the thing that made me fall in love with football was I fell in love with the history of the game. My father used to show me these old school VHS tapes with, John Facenda's voice and Sam Spence on the music. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to watch all that stuff, and I fell in love with Barry Sanders when I was 4 years old. And the crazy thing about it is when I started watching all these documentaries with wine, I was like, man, I fell in love with the history of the wine. It was never about, I take cool pictures, do it for the gram, but it was never about the lifestyle for me, man. It was about the history, the tradition. That's why I'm really big on the education part when I'm talking about wine. So, I kind of found that niche, that void where, my demographic, they're so used to the craft spirits and the seltzers and all the fun stuff like that. However, they're still paying for high-end luxury goods. So the space where everyone in the world is reaching out to me is because these old school premium wineries that have rich history, they're trying to find a way to connect with the younger demographic, and they're calling me to be that person to do so. So like when I'm teaching football, I do the same thing. I teach them about the history. It never really changes. It evolves in terms of the people, but the essence is true. Same thing with wine. The essence is true. And that's why I'm, head over heels, full-fledged. Like you said, this is not a hobby. This is real life. Every day I'm on a meeting trying to get this thing right.
Will, I'm happy for you. I'm proud of this. Is the last thing I have for you, and I'm so glad that you had a 12-year NFL career. Because I don't know if you know this story. I used to do sports radio in Boston, and your brother said to me, "Hey, my brother's at Boston College. You should give him some love. He's going to be drafted." So I went on the air. I was like, "Hey, watch out. Will Blackmon, he's going to be drafted. And I did it like a couple days in a row. Then your brother reached out to me again. He said, I need you to stop. You're going too far. I don't want you to mess it up. So, look, hey, let him know nothing got messed up. Not only did you have a dozen-year career in the NFL, but you're doing great now in the space that you're in. That's great.
Cheers. Cheers.
No,
Appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate
Thank you so much.
No, it's big. Thank you.
No doubt,
Will
man.
Blackmon.
Hey, come back again soon.
Go to the winemvp.com. Go there.
There it
Yes.
is.
That's where everything is.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Will.
Yeah, thank you, man, so much, man. Appreciate it.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.